everybody out there in patron land, how's it going? So at LeRoy and Lewis, we source everything locally. We pay almost twice as much as a lot of other barbecue joints for meat. So that means that we have to use every little scrap. We have to be very, very careful about all the meat that goes out the door. That means we don't throw anything away. We use every little possible bit of scrap that we can, whether that's pieces of hog that are a little bit too crispy that go into the hash, or it's our brisket trim going into the burger, or the burger itself going into chili. At every step, if there's something left over, then we have a place for that second use item to go. We're talking about brisket specifically because this is probably going to be the most useful and most interesting numbers for barbecue joint owners. What we're going to talk about is the yield that we get from a brisket, from what we buy, what we purchase in the cryovac, untrimmed, to a trimmed, finished, completed, cooked version of that brisket. So exactly how much are we paying initially and what that weight is compared to what the finished weight is, how much we're able to sell of that finished brisket. Also, if you are just a backyard cook and you want to know exactly how much you'll finish with when you buy a brisket, this can tell you that. And these are tips that you can use to, make the most of whatever you buy at the store. It's not just restaurants that need to save money. Everybody needs to be saving money, and nobody needs to be throwing any food away whatsoever at all. So here we go. Okay, so we started with first of all, please excuse the poor penmanship. I really don't have a lot to say about that. I apologize. So we're going to start with the weight of our untrimmed brisket here. It was 5,316 grams or 11.72 pounds. After it was trimmed up very well by Bradley, I think you did it. He did it with his eyes open this time, right?
I sure did.
He did it with his eyes open. After it was trimmed, we had the trimmed brisket weighing in at 3,170.6 grams or 6.99 pounds. And that kind of broke down for the scraps between 1,034 grams or 2.28 pounds of fat and 1,088.6 grams or 2.4 pounds of lean beef scraps. We say lean, this is an Akabushi brisket, keep in mind, so even the lean beef scraps are going to be pretty fatty and marbled throughout. From those scraps, what we did was take an 80-20 blend and made burgers with them. So we ended up with 3 pounds or 1,310.78 grams. And that yielded 6 burgers. They're going to sell for about $15 a piece. From the extra fat scraps that did not get their way into the burgers, what we did was ground them up and rendered them into tallow. So the finished tallow was 0.85 pounds or 385.5 grams. And for that tallow, what we're going to do is finish our beef cheeks in them. We also use beef tallow or pork lard to roll our buns for our sandwiches, and we also use it in our refried beans sometimes, and sometimes we use it to fry. In this channel and other ways you've seen us use beef tallow. But that is the yield of one brisket worth of beef tallow. It's almost 1 pound. We also have a Crispies yield from the tallow rendering process, and that was 453 grams or 0.34 pounds, and that's going to make its way into chili. So as you can see, even the rendered crispy fat that we've strained out, we're not going to waste. If we take our finished brisket, completely done, completely cooked, We rubbed it with salt and pepper. We cooked it for at least 12 to 14 hours. It rested overnight in the warmer. What we did is weighed it after that, and what we finished with was 1,940 grams or 4.29 pounds of finished sliceable cooked brisket.
This brisket's pretty perfectly cooked by my guy, Cole Parkman.
Cole, what's your favorite part about working here?
Oh, you know, washing dishes. That's what I live for.
So it was 100% yielded sliced brisket on the final product. If it had been dry at the corners or dry on the tip or dry at any other place, then we would have had a separate yield of chopped brisket, which would affect our final yield percentage, but it didn't because Cole's perfect. So, original untrimmed brisket in the cryo, 5,316 grams. Finished cooked brisket, 1,940 grams. We can see that that percentage yields us about a 36%, almost 1/3, which is a pretty sad and pathetic yield percentage if you're only using just the finished brisket. We've got our untrimmed brisket, we've got our finished brisket, we've got a 36% yield. Now, including all of the scraps and all the tallow and all the crispies. So those are all the finished items. Those are the servable items, and the only thing that has been eliminated is the water weight from the cooked brisket itself. So we've got 1,940 grams finished sliced brisket, 1,310 grams burgers, 385 grams of tallow, and 453 grams of crispies. That's 4,088 grams. And if we do the math, 4,088 over 5316, that's going to give us a 76% yield, which is 40% more than if we were to just throw everything, all the scraps, all the fat, into the garbage and not do anything with them. We've got that much more money in our pocket, in our belly. So what we did here is a full yield test on a brisket. This is a Hart brand Beeman Family Ranch Akaushi brisket. We took our original weight, then we took our finished cooked brisket weight, and we compared those. We got about a 1/3 yield out of it. Then we calculated the finished product of everything else that we saved. So the weight of the finished brisket plus all of the rendered fat, crispies, and burgers that we took, and that yield was actually 76%. So if you take all of the scraps and you do something with them, you're going to increase your brisket yield by about 40%.